sometimes feel like they're not sure where they're going. They're going somewhere. They've got a job, they've got a title, they've got a role. It feels empty, and I feel like I meet a lot of these people and I'm like, wow, like they haven't really had a chance to really like made a choice on exactly where they want to go. They've either done things because of expectations or society or the pressures or the fear of being judged and wanting to fit in. But you know what? In the long run, once they hit to their midlife crisis, man, everything comes crumbling down.
Welcome back to another incredible episode of the 100 Successful Women, a Conversation to Inspire series. Today, we have reached a huge milestone, our 50th episode. As promised, to celebrate this special occasion, we have an extraordinary guest whose trailblazing spirit and achievement continue to shatter glass ceiling across multiple creative arenas. From the big screen, where she's starring in international action films like Feast of the Dragon, to the director's chair, helming groundbreaking projects like her latest one, Ep50. Whether as an actress, filmmaker, martial artist, or champion of representation, her impact resonates in our bigger community. Despite all her achievement and fame, Maria Tran is one of the most humble, funny, and beautiful souls I have met. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation together. Without further ado, let's join me in our conversation coming up next.
I know everything.
Not everything. Good luck.
I don't need luck.
Hey, that's my line.
Hello, Maria. I'm so grateful that you are here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, I'm very excited as well when you say yes. I know how busy you are. I'm so blessed that to hear you saying yes. Do you know that?
Well, I love conversations. That's like the heart of what I do, and I always love having, discussing things, and because it helps me kind of like also have a moment to reflect in my pathways as well. So I really appreciate you reaching out.
Oh, thank you so much. I did hear you speak, like I say, like a few years ago, and I didn't realize that was already 2 years ago when you were in one of the panelists. And yeah, you not only that you're doing a lot of great thing in the filming industry, and then you're doing a lot of things for the community as well.
I do all sorts of things. I think sometimes I feel like a lot of people do tell me that I do a little bit too much, but then I thought to myself, well, it brings me joy. Maybe it's too much for other people, but in this body, in this mind, in this heart, this soul, I love it. So I just keep going.
Yeah, I love that you're giving back to this society and the community. So one of the questions that I always started with the conversation on this 100 Successful Women, like I say, you do a lot of things, you play different roles in everything that you're doing. So one question that I always ask the women is that without all these hats that you're playing, without all this role that you are playing, who is Maria Tran at your core?
That is a very deep and meaningful question. I really like that question. Well, who am I at my core? I personally think, I'll be honest with you, my true core is Maria Tran as the little nerd who just doesn't fit in with anybody, is rejected by everything, and is just trying to, do good. I think that's always been like that. And one particular point in my life was probably during high school when a group of girls came up to me who I thought were my friends, basically announced that they didn't want to be my friend anymore because I was a bit too weird. And I remembered what's weird? I've got, maybe it's my long skirt, my tall long socks. Is it my bob haircut? Is it my glasses? I mean, and then I thought about maybe because I look like a nerd. You know what I mean? Maybe there's something about that they didn't want to associate with. But it gave me the opportunity to, really go, well, who do I want to be? Right? Maybe I want to be anyone I want to be. So I spent time like during school observing people, like really watching their mannerisms, figuring out their motivations, why they do certain things, why groups of people hang with each other. So I know it's kind of like almost like the predecessor of being a stalker, but I didn't go down that path. But basically I observed a lot of humans, and then in later life, it helped me with my acting path as well as working in different communities and really understanding people's needs and also solving sometimes now different companies' problems as well sometimes. So yeah, I get asked to consult on some of the top companies in the world, just asking me about how I see things from the
Mm.
outside. And a lot of times I'm able to kind of like piece things quite quickly, particularly when it comes around to dealing with people, the psychology of people, their motivations, their body language, and how all of that sort of what that means in
Oh,
certain settings. Yeah.
well, amazing. It sounds like you observe with curiosity since you were really young, and that's how you allow you to probably act in different characters as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
100%. Mm.
Well, so can you tell us a little bit about your background story? How did you get into, first of all, martial artists and then filming industry?
Mm. Martial artists, to be honest, I only got into it because there was an incident in school where I got picked on. And it's so weird because prior to that incident, I watched a lot of Jackie Chan films. And I don't know if you know, but back in the days when you watch his films, it's always about the underdog, the factory worker, all these
Mm.
things trying to fight the bad boss or the evil, the person's doing bad to them, right? It's like the
Mm.
underdog story. And then one day in the bathroom, I saw another girl getting picked on. And then I don't know why I thought to myself, stop! Like I stood up and I pointed, you know? And in my head, I'm like, that's what I remembered in, what Jackie Chan would do, right? And then,
Uh-huh. Did you actually do it?
I did, and then I got beaten up. So that
Oh.
was not exactly the outcome I envisioned in my head as a kid.
Mm.
Then I went home and I kind of told my parents, and then they got a bit worried. So they said, you know what, Maria, maybe we need to put you in martial arts school. Maybe we need to get your body to be stronger and all that. And for me, yeah, I took up Taekwondo and I went really competitive with it. I think it was a part of me was just to get that energy out there. I don't want to be a nerd. I don't want to be the loser. And I really channeled it into, my forms, my martial arts, my stance, my posture, my gaze, all of that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
thinking that I'm going to get picked on, I'm getting ready for that. But you know what? After that incident, no one would ever pick on you because they can see that you're more confident, right?
Mm.
So, yeah, that's sort of my journey to martial arts. And over the years, I've done various martial arts because I just love it, because martial arts gives me a chance to really be connected with my body, to really feel the strength of who I am, regardless of gender or labels. When you do martial arts, you are in touch with your warrior, your
Mm-hmm.
warrior side. So you know that whenever there are challenges, you can still fight. Maybe not necessarily with your fists, but
Mm-hmm.
really with your spirit. So that's sort of how I got into the martial arts. And then I ended up, after finishing my psychology degree, in between that, doing lots of short films.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, there was YouTube era, so a lot of that stuff was online. And then I ended up also getting into community arts. Facilitation, cultural practitioner work. So,
Mm-hmm.
working across lots of different cultures and really seeing um, the different cultures and the stories and the nuances they have,
Mm-hmm.
and also coming up with programs that would speak to them, which means that they will want to participate, that will give them the social change within their communities or the tools for them to go into the communities and actually make change. So that was sort of my trajectory from there,
Mm-hmm.
that work. And the film and television stuff, I'll be honest with you, it kind of was a fantasy in my head. And I think a lot of people might have that. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
wants actor. Like, come on, everyone does. Everyone wants to be a star. Everyone wants to be famous. It's but for me, I was just op it's just sometimes timing. Like, you hear an opportunity, you might not have the skills, but
Mm-hmm.
you just go, let's just do it. Just put yourself and go for that audition or just show up. And sometimes you make a fool of yourself. I did because in my earlier days of doing acting, I haven't trained in it. So I haven't trained in
Oh.
acting or film. So, and because I don't have that training, I would probably say I made a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a quick learner. So when I do make a mistake, I know how to readjust and then try to get ahead really quickly. So I
Mm-hmm.
really learned, I'm very observant, so I learn very quick and I learn on the job. So eventually I got roles here and there, and it kept on building up to a particular portfolio.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, that's sort of how I kept on going. Mm.
Wow. And you did mention that you went on the like study psychology before you were on the acting.
Yes, I did psychology, but to be honest, it wasn't like, oh, I wanted to do psychology.
Mm-mm.
I actually, when I was a kid, because I got bullied, I think I
Mm-mm.
had some traumas. Yeah, everyone's
Oh.
got traumas, right? But I always wanted to be a police officer, so then I could arrest the bad people and all this weird fantasy as a kid, right? And then I remember my teacher was like, "Oh, you need to, why don't you pick on your HSC something a bit higher than Bachelor of Policing, right?" And she's like, "Why don't you pick something that has the word ology after it?" I was like, "What does ology mean?" Ology means the study of. And I was like, "Oh, right."
Mm.
Down the list, the study of psychos. Yeah, they must be the ultimate evil. So I ended up like, I put that down. I actually got that. And
Wow.
by the time I went to university and I was sitting in, I'm like, the study of the mind? This is what it wasn't what I signed up for. How do I get out of it? Oh, there's too much paperwork. So
Mm-hmm.
because I had it was the fear of having to fill out the paperwork to get out of it. I was like, you're right, I'll just stay in it and just see how it goes.
Uh-huh.
Psychology, I did love marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Marketing psychology, consumer psychology, humanistic psychology, organizational psychology, all that stuff about people and what drives people to do things, um,
Mm-hmm.
the makeup of leaders and all of that. So that stuff really fascinated me, and it just kept on going because it was able to be, I learnt those, but then I was able to put it into my acting, my teaching educator side of me, my speaking side of me, and the whole lot. So it's a
Wow.
skill set I had.
Everything that you did is like built out to where you has been so useful for where you are today. Is that right?
Yeah, it always is because I feel like anyone's journey, if you
Mm-mm.
cannot see your path,
Mm-mm.
like if you think it's random, then oh my gosh, you're not reflective enough. If you think you're, I have to admit, I meet people who sometimes feel like they're not sure where they're going. They're going somewhere. They've got a job, they've got a title, they've got a role.
Mm-mm.
Feels empty, and I feel like I meet a lot of these people and I'm like, wow, like they haven't really had a chance to really like made a choice on exactly where they want to go. They've
Mm-hmm.
either done things because of expectations or society
That's right.
or the pressures or the fear of being judged and wanting
Mm-mm.
to fit in. But you know what? In the long run, once they hit to their their midlife crisis, man, everything comes crumbling down. You know? So if you
Yeah.
kind of like take your time, and it's not a race, you take your time, you constantly have moments to honor who you are and reflect. You
Mm-hmm.
won't have to have a midlife crisis because all this time you have been active with the choices you've made. And
Mm-hmm.
even though there's success and failures, it's a part of who you are. So
Yeah.
there's nothing you can go wrong.
That's so true, 100%. It's like all these are just the journey that you reflect on instead of like the end result probably is not as big as enjoying the process along the way.
Exactly, you're spot on.
Oh, I love that. And you did mention some words is that societal expectation. Obviously, you studied psychology, and when you decide to involve in the filming industry, did you have any societal or some limitation or something that
Mm.
people that around you that say anything to you, and how did you overcome that?
It's interesting because my transition has always been like it wasn't like, oh, mom and dad, I'm leaving all this stuff, I'm gonna now do this. I never did
Uh-huh.
that. So
Mm.
so when I started out with acting and filmmaking, it was a hobby. Hobby. It's
Uh,
okay, it's not threatening, right?
oh yeah.
But if a hobby starts paying, and then if
Ah.
there's more of a demand of your hobby, what does that mean? It means that you probably have a skill set that the world
Mm.
demands. So therefore you can then naturally make that transition. Of course, if I was to do acting and I'm terrible at it and no one wants to hire me, I
Mm-mm.
would be going, I'm gonna leave this other thing for this thing. You got to be logical in your journey
Mm,
as well, right?
yeah.
Because some people come to me and go, Maria, I'm gonna quit my job and then go into the creative arts. I'm like, oh, you're gonna be so poor. You're gonna struggle in a different way, okay?
Mm,
So I don't I would probably suggest not to do that. Do it as a hobby. Okay.
mm-hmm,
Yes, in the beginning, you'll have to appease societal expectations. Do a bit that, but
mm-mm,
you also need to have a vision of where you want to go, but
mm-hmm,
also the hard work to work your hobby to the point that it pays off. Because some people
mm,
might just do it as a hobby and that's it. That's still okay. But if
mm-hmm.
you want to do a hobby and one day dream that that hobby is going to be your big thing, then you need to work so hard in your hobby time. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to tell people. You just do it silently to one day you're like, oh, I'm here. And everyone will be like, oh my gosh, you're an overnight success. No, there's
No.
no such thing, right? But you
Mm,
can't make it look like that because otherwise if people know where you want to go, they sometimes family, friends, they kind of
pull
somehow
you
say
back.
things and pull you
Mm,
back.
that's
And you
right.
don't need that. So therefore you keep it to yourself to
Mm-mm.
finally you have results, let the results speak for itself.
Yeah, that's such a great piece of advice over there, especially for younger generation out there
Mm,
and looking for instant gratification. And that's wrong.
mm, mm.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I really love your story. And then, and you like the filming industry, especially in martial arts and all this, it's more like a male dominant industry. So
Mm.
did you have any challenges or some of the obstacles that you face along the way, and how did you overcome, or what are the mindset that you use along the way?
I would say I always knew that it was going to be there's going to be challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Like I come in with any project that I do going, there's going to be challenges. Where are the challenges? Where are the challenges? So I go in there going, where are the challenges? So then I can then cut it down first. Because when sometimes I go into a room and hi, I'm the action director. Hi, I'm here to do fight choreography. We're going to do this fight scene. They'll look at me and they go, who's this Asian young girl? Like, can she really show us how, you can tell by a look in their face. And I know
Mm-mm.
that with that 1 second look, you have probably roughly about 8 seconds to turn that around in the next thing that you say. And if you're like, oh, hi guys, I'm here, like that's it. You're
Mm-hmm.
gone. They're gonna make your job so hard, right? So there are challenges, and especially if it's a male dominated industry, it is innately going to be so hard for a female. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to change unless you change the mindset. You're going to go, yes, it's going to be hard, but you're going to go in it with a different mindset. You're going to go in going, okay, I know you're looking at me, judging me, but let's not look at that. Let's look at the task. What's the vision, guys? The vision is we want to make a good fight scene. We've only got 2 hours, so stop mucking around and let's work together. I want to make you guys look good. Do you guys want to look good? Yes, I want to make you look good. Let's do it. So by that time, they go, oh, she's got a point. She has a point.
Mm-hmm.
There's no ego. She wants to make us look good. Why are we judging her when she wants to make us look good, right? Doesn't matter if she looks pretty or she looks distracting, she looks young or she looks Asian, doesn't matter. We want to achieve the goal. So that's how I do things. I work on sometimes some of the most challenging projects, but with that sort of mindset, I'm still able to then turn people around. And you know what? They become your allies.
Mm-hmm.
Great is that when someone looks at you like a stereotype, like as if you don't have what it takes, and later on through the process of working with you, is able to change their mind. And
Mm-hmm.
not only that, when they change their mind about you, your own demographic, it starts to change. And I love that because I just don't go in thinking just myself. Because if I do well, it's for all these other Asian women to also one day participate in this particular field.
Yeah, love that. You are one of the like biggest role model for many Asian women out there. You like particularly for all the success that you have done. It's a lot of do all of us proud, and that's such a great gateway to many opportunities for others Asian women out there as well.
Yeah.
Mm. So you were saying that for you to get into a conversation with all this male dominant industry with these people, obviously you have to go in there with the confidence. So how did you build your confidence?
For me to build my confidence, I realized that first off, I have to communicate with conviction who I am, my
Mm-hmm.
background, and where I want to go. So regardless of the titles I have in between, those are the things that I put out there first.
Mm-mm.
Of course, like, having a website, having a digital footprint, doing lots of speaking engagements to show people who I am has always been a great foundation. Because people judge, you might have all the credibility, all the degrees and all that stuff, but if you cannot communicate with
Mm-mm.
who you are, and if people look at you and they don't respect you, then you're not going to win them.
Mm.
And so therefore, for me, I've done lots of research in terms of how do I get into the right room with the right types of people to also win their hearts and win their trust in my abilities to do a particular job. I
Mm.
don't have all the answers. To be honest, a lot of times I would say my studies in terms of acting and filmmaking is zero. But then how did I get a chance to at one point teach at one of the most prestigious, film schools? Not
Mm.
because I had my credibility. In fact, a lot of my colleagues were like, you're really strange, Maria. You haven't studied film. How come you're teaching here? I'm like, you know what? Because I have something that you don't have, and that's
Mm.
balls. And the fact that I've able to make all these films without even having the piece of paper, what does that mean? It means
Mm.
the fact that I've got something that I think if your kids or your students have, they will be more successful than just having a piece of paper. So
Yeah.
I have to admit, I do step on toes. So there are certain groups, certain people that will feel like I am overstepping my boundary or
Mm-hmm.
I'm too intense or all sorts of things, or labeling me, judge me, have rumors and all that stuff. It's normal. It's a part of it, especially if you're going down the path that no one's taken.
Mm-hmm.
People are always going to have so many stories on you. And I love hearing, I'm like, wow, is that what they say about me? That's fascinating. I wish that was that story, Like
Wow. That's
people make
that's a
me into
good
some
one.
sort
They
of
say you are
scary.
the extraordinary one, right?
For women particularly, if we're like intelligent, charismatic,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna be labeled as something. There's always some bitch or slut or title. All these titles. They just throw it at us and we're like, wow, really? I had
Mm.
that story? Like I've never heard of that, but okay, it's good to know. But people have
Mm.
imaginations and they just want to be able to say, hey, I'm I'm not, even though they're not feeling good, so they like to create stories. That's just how it is. But half
Mm.
the time you're not gonna work with them, so you don't care, you know?
So true. Yeah, that's you can't be bothered, right? It's like you just have to, you know where you're going and you don't really need to. What you focus on where you are going instead of something that distracting you along the way.
And you know what? You don't need permission to do what you do. Like for you,
Mm.
you've got your own platform. You have an idea of wanting to interview 100 women. That is so cool. No one's given you permission to do that. You,
Mm.
through your own inner spiritual creativeness, go, hey, this is what I want to do. And you know what? I want to do it. I don't care if I didn't come out from some presenting school. I'm just
That's
going to do it. I'm
right.
going to reach out. And you've got the same energy is that you have the courage to
Mm.
reach out and ask. And
Yeah.
that's going to get you ahead than other people who live in fear.
Oh, thank you so much. I really agree with you. Just because if you don't ask, you don't get it.
Mm.
Thank you so much for that. I really think that you are such a great examples. Your stories is inspired a lot of people out there. Like you say, you just don't need permission for others. And then with your success, people can think that um there's an example and I can do it as well.
Mm.
So tell us about your latest production. Is that
Mm.
Echo 8?
Yeah. Echo 8, yeah, it's an independent film that I made for only $10,000 Australian dollars. Like it is the most craziest story because I think globally, it's becoming pop famous because the fact that it sounds ridiculous. That how do you make an action film with assassins, with all this stuff, and make it on such a low budget? And I just wanted to prove a point that the fact that we can, why do we have to think that we have to be at a particular, class status and have
Mm-hmm.
all the resources and all the glamour to make something, right? We can make it through the power of community. So
Mm-hmm.
after doing that project, it was entered in various festivals around the world. It won some awards, and then only recently it is now on a streaming platform on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I did see that.
Which is a big deal, which is huge, right? I call it like a cabbage film. Like a cabbage film is like, a bunch of people coming together and they're just your mums and dads, people who are not actors. I have to kind of like train them up to at
Mm-hmm.
least fulfill some of the parts. We had good actors on board as well who were professionals, but we also worked with people who never acted or never did like held a camera or worked on a film set to come on board and join
Mm-hmm.
us to see what it's like to make a film. And it gave so much community pride because they're like, wow, I had people going, I've never seen myself on screen. I've never seen so many Asians and migrant stories and also action on screen and telling stories that I would never see in mainstream. And some people watched and they cried and they go, thank you, Maria. Like it's an action film. We thought it was just an action, but we didn't realize there was a beautiful story, a mother-daughter story, a mother trying to find a daughter who is
Mm.
being brainwashed and turned into assassin, like there's a lot of layers that I think work.
Yeah.
We've got 10 months and we're looking forward to making our next two films, prequel and sequel, in 35 days. That's the shooting day. And we're so lucky to have Tang Media and
Mm.
PD Joinery is another company coming on board and to support us. But at the moment, we're still doing a call out to other companies, businesses in different industries, not film. Like
Mm-mm.
we're looking at your medical field, your health field, your law field, all of those other fields to come on board and have a conversation and see if we can fit you in the film somewhere or, if you can support us with locations, venues, even financially, all that stuff. But we're not even asking a lot. We're asking so little because
Mm.
some people are like, why don't you ask for a lot? I'm like, why? The whole philosophy of the way I'm making films is make it as basic as possible so that we build skills in our community.
Mm.
Because if we
Wow.
make it at a high price, what happens is that those roles, we won't be able to use community. We have to then use industry people.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of want to use filmmaking as a way, as a training ground for people, and
Mm-hmm.
that's sort of like the model that I've kind of created, and it's worked fantastically as well. Yeah.
Well, I did remember that, yeah, when I was watching one of the you had a conversation or interview with some other people and seeing that I think it's a back like a BTS, like back the screen behind the
Yeah.
scene on how you make it. It's
Yeah.
actually got me into teary eyes listening to bringing the community together.
Yeah. And that's what I love. And it's so funny because sometimes people come onto my film set and they're like, oh, how come it looks so basic? Like it just looks basic, like three people with the camera lights. And sometimes we have to act. We finish our scene, we have to
Uh-huh.
hold the lights or hold the camera. They're like, oh, you're an actor and also the camera person. I'm like, yeah, we don't have a lot of people. So we have to double up on roles.
Mm-hmm.
They see what was created. They're like, what? How come with so little you're able to create something that looks like it's multi-million dollars? And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the magic. That's the magic of filmmaking is that you don't need a lot. You just need to have the passion of people on board who want to do well, who
Mm-hmm.
want to give their energies, and even if they're not an actor, they hey, I'm not an actor. It's okay. Let's try these wet exercises, get you into character, and in front of the camera you go. So that's how we kind of do things.
Oh, that's such an amazing story. And yeah, that's I love that you're actually bringing the community together and you're giving opportunities to others. And just like you say, a lot of people wanting to be an actor or actress and to be a star, and you give them the opportunities to experience that.
Yeah. And I also realized that the people that we do give them that opportunity, we know that it will give them confidence to
Mm-hmm.
go back to their community and feel like they're somebody. Because sometimes
Mm.
we might be community leaders, we might be doing things like, by ourselves, and we
Mm-mm.
don't really, sometimes we forget that we are actually amazing, and I want to be able to give people moments to be on screen because I know
Yeah.
that once it's on the big screen and maybe 300 people are watching at that same moment, it's such a
Mm.
wonderful a moment to also be able to be seen and know that you're here. You are now here and seen by all these people who appreciate the fact
Mm-mm.
that you gave it a go. You tried something new.
Mm. You're definitely that star that allow others to shine as well.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so what's next for Maria?
Mm. So for me at the moment, I'm back in Fairfield for the next 2 months. I'm actually running some training with Fairfield City Council called Bring It On Youth Festival for young people, skilling
Mm,
them up in, as presenting, film, cameras, photography, that kind of stuff. And then in between that, just doing location scouting for my film Echo 8, the next few ones. But because I'm a person who is in between projects, so therefore, I also have to go, okay, I need to meet different companies and seeing whether or not they want to do corporate videos because I've
mm,
got my own film production company. So I'm always spinning lots of plates because of course you've got the financial side, I have to make sure it's in good balance, the creative stuff, my own personal stuff, and then the vision. And then not only that, when I go back to America, it's like I have a separate life there and I
mm,
have to do the same hustle, except no one knows me yet. You know what I mean? So I really have to be able to economically figure out and balance my energy levels,
mm,
know where to put it and not like do things that wastes my energy or takes away, sucks away my energy because I need it to be able to make decisions and to be present in whatever projects that I'm doing.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of things, and like because you mentioned lots of things that you did, and there's so many responsibilities and so many tasks that you have in a day probably. So what's your time management or productivity tips that you can give to others?
Yeah, productivity tips. I think always do the things that are important first
Mhm.
because a lot of times we do lots of things and then it doesn't
Mm-mm,
add. Actually, a lot of people do lots of things. Some people I meet that I'm really, really busy. I'm like, yeah, that's what you said last week. Everyone's busy, right? I
mm-mm,
feel like everyone is busy, but if they don't know how to time manage, they can't get the important things done. They just get all the things that they do, but they keep on doing it. It's like a groundhog day. They do the
mm-mm,
same thing again, but it's not productive. So we just have to really look at our vision and then sort of like work your way around that. Like for me, with me and my husband, right? Like me now back in Sydney, he's in America. I'm going to be away from him for 2.5 months. A
mm-mm,
lot of people ask me, how do I manage my relationships and stuff like that? Like the fact that I've got 2.5 months away, and I think
mm-mm,
a year ago was 10 months away. So I didn't see him for 10 months.
mm,
And I said to them, the main thing is if you communicate your vision with those who are the most nearest and dearest around you, and
mm,
if you have confidence in the reasons why you are here on this planet, the people around you will support you. They want
mm,
you to win. Most of the time, the people around you always wants you to be in your happy, joyous state. Because when you are, they're happy, right?
mm.
When you're
That's so
stressed,
true.
guess what? They're going to be stressed. And eventually, if you have so much stress that you cannot manage and you cannot manage quality time with them, guess what? You're going to have problems with your relationship. It's no rocket science. Like it's not rocket science. It's quite easy to kind of like understand that. So for me, always trying to find space for myself.
Mm-mm,
If anything is too stressful, I need to take a moment back and reassess if that is worth my time. And
mm,
sometimes there'll be projects that will give you a lot financially, but your mental health is going to go out the door. It's not worth it.
mm.
If you are damaging your health, your well-being, in the long run, you're going to create disease.
That's
Disease
right.
is disease, right? So you
Mm,
don't want that. You cannot risk anything for your health. Like literally, like for your health, it needs to be there. It needs to be one of the top priorities because
mm,
everything flows from there. If you like do other things and disregard that, you will pay in the
mm.
long run.
Yeah, definitely. You just have nothing if you don't have the help.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's such a great tips there. Thank you for that. And one question is another thing, probably is very easy. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, I've got a little QR code here. So if they can see that, or if
Mm,
I'm on the Linktree slash Maria.Tran or Mariatran.co, like I'm really approachable.
mm,
But most of the time when people connect with me, I will try to help them sort them out as quick as possible so that they can be on their way to doing their thing. And I
mm,
expect that when they are able to get results, they
mm,
connect with me because I'm so short of time, but I'm always giving. I always want to give because I always know that sometimes being by yourself, you get stuck. But sometimes if you speak to people who can see things and who are not afraid to tell the truth, their advice is going to help you way more. So then you just take it, you work your way, and once you get to that point, you can then come back to them and say,
Mm,
hey, this is where I'm at. And then eventually you then can help them. So we start to build, it's almost like a circle of people who
mm,
help each other whenever they're up or down. You know, they can rely on each other to pull themselves out of particular states or
mm.
particular circumstances. Yeah.
So true. It's all about the circle because it's all coming back. And I love that you are so humble and you're so giving. It's like I say, it's not only you are the star, but you are for the community as well. Thank you so much for what you have done to the community, especially for the younger generation.
No, thank you for this interview. You know, I totally feel your vibe. You know, and that's why
Oh,
I was fascinated. I'm like, oh, who's this? You know what? Yes. So
thank you
I
so
just
much.
felt it. I saw your message, and I'm like, my gut instinct says yes, and let's do
Yeah,
it.
I really appreciate you for saying yes because next episode is 50th episode. And I told everyone there's going to be a special edition. And I was like, I have in mind that I have to ask you. So I just thought that I'll just do it anyway. And I'm so grateful that you say yes.
Yeah, and it's so funny how everything aligns, you know what I mean? Like it just worked. So, you know, as I said, just keep asking. The more you ask, you're going to get
Mm-mm.
more of that as well. And you deserve it because we don't have enough of women interviewing women. And what you're doing is great, especially out in our area. And as you get better and better, who knows? You could be an international sensation there. I can see it.
Oh, thank you so much. I don't
Trust
know
it.
where is this going to get me, but I really think that every message that you women give, even though just one people listening, it will change their life.
Yeah, keep
Mm.
going.
Thank you. So one last question. What
Hmm.
is your one piece of advice for other women out there?
Okay. One piece of advice. I have two.
Okay, that's all right.
Two. Okay. The first one is your life is like a movie or a book. So you have to figure out how to make it exciting and fun for people to read.
Mm.
So all your challenges, the bigger the challenge, the more interesting, especially the way you get out of it is going to be exciting for people to want to fight for you and back you and support you. So really push yourself out there to live the life as exciting as the way you want, as like a movie or a book. And my second piece of advice that I realize is everything in life is negotiable. So
Mhm.
whenever people say no, it might be no for that one time, but as you give a bit time later, you can come back and ask again. And don't
Mm.
be afraid to be judged because once you're afraid, you won't do anything. But if you go back and ask, no, yeah, yeah, no, okay, just keep doing it. Because usually I find the rule of fives. By the fifth time, I think they get sick of you. They go, okay, fine, 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 and they give in. So that's how I've
Oh,
been able to work across even corporates as well. I'm just relentless. I just ask because I don't have any fears. I'm like, if you don't give it to me, it's okay. I'll ask next time. Or you'll hear about me in some other way or form and all of that. So it always works itself out. But life is negotiable. Go out there and just, bargain for the best things. Get the good stuff. Don't be afraid.
yeah,
Mm.
don't be afraid. Just ask. And I love that. I really think that Maria literally make a make a movie out of what she wants to. Now she can just be anything she like, any character you can create for in your movie, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. 100%.
I thoroughly enjoy our conversation together. I have so many questions to ask, but I'm very aware of the time, and I really appreciate your time with me today and sharing your wisdom with everyone out there. Thanks so much, Maria.
Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best. And
Thank you.
I can't wait to see this. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.